South Africa's unemployment rate increased in the fourth quarter of 2023, according to the quarterly labour force survey released by Statistics South Africa. The official unemployment rate increased by 0.2%. That was from 31.9% in the third quarter of 2023 to 32.1%. But this was above expectations as forecasts predicted a decline in the fourth quarter. Dr. Laura Fisher, Head of Institutional Advancement at Boston City Campus, now joins us to weigh in further. Very good afternoon, Dr. Laura. Thanks for your time on the SABC at this hour.
Good afternoon.
Let's make sense of the data. The industries that contributed to the net employment decline included community and social services, even construction, agriculture, trade and manufacturing. What are some of the key takeaways from the fourth quarter unemployment rate from your vantage point?
I think some of the key takeaways are firstly just the shocking continued decrease in employment. And I think that, you know, the labour force participation rate and absorption rate just kind of decreasing between even quarter 3 and quarter 4 from 60% to 40% respectively, just as a massive indictment on what's going on in the country. So I mean, obviously as a South African and as an educationist, my kind of key takeaway is what are we doing in the education space to really address this massive unemployment rate? How are we responding? What is our ethical response to these decreases in unemployment?
Well, speaking of which, I mean, these statistics have knock-on effects, and I wonder how you'd weigh in on that, given the high rates of GBVF figures in South Africa, some of the social ills that it also contributes to.
Yeah, the knock-on effects are pretty profound because I think it just, you know, purely from a psychological level, just creates a sense within our country of despair and hopelessness. And I think that there already are an inordinate amount of students and South Africans who are not even looking for work. They are discouraged. They are not building their skills base through education and training, and they're essentially disengaging from the labour market because they feel, well, what do we actually have to offer this? And that feeds into a further systemic issue, which I think is a very dangerous systemic issue, and that is that how are we going to actually fix this country? You know, there's so much in so many sectors that just seems to be working against us, and yet all of us want our beautiful country to thrive and survive. So I think the knock-on effects are really, really dire.
And so speaking of which, how do we fix the systemic issues? I mean, we're looking at the waves of change the world over with the fourth industrial revolution, the introduction of artificial intelligence as well. And so as we navigate what these reforms look like, I mean, how can AI create more jobs, perhaps also help to improve future workplaces from your vantage point as we reimagine rather the way forward?
Yeah, I think that one of the key issues of addressing particularly youth unemployment is by encouraging the prioritizing of learners understanding from a very early age that they don't need to fear AI, that AI isn't going to take over our planet, but rather that it actually gives us a tool that we can leverage that can actually enable us to adequately respond to and to perhaps decrease the unemployment rates over time. I think it's important to note that, you know, in terms of what AI is doing, yes, AI may seem to be taking over some of the menial tasks and the administrative tasks in our workforce, but it is also creating a lot more jobs actually than it is taking away. So we shouldn't demonize or glorify AI, but rather look at the trends that AI offers and say, okay, what actually are we needing to skill people with in order to be adequately trained for an AI environment.
So the question is, how do we then ensure that skills also match that workforce transition that we're witnessing?
I think one of the major things that I've observed with the rise of AI is obviously that certain jobs are becoming automated, but that automatically makes critical thinking, problem solving, creativity and innovation the key skills that we need to be giving learners and South Africans as we go forward. It's important for them to have an understanding of AI and how it can be applied in various industries, and really understanding that it's critical to remain adaptable. It's critical to remain, to encourage a mindset of continuous learning. Social and emotional skills will never be replaced by AI. We need an entrepreneurial mindset. We need self-improvement. And I think that these, what were traditionally more soft skills, are coming to the fore as actually critical skills, because it's our empathy, creativity, and morality that actually distinguishes us from our AI counterparts, if we want to say it like that. So we really need to cultivate and harness these qualities to create a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.
Dr. Laura, let me just wrap up. I want to look at the unemployment rate that's obviously been announced, the effect it has on the economy ahead of the much anticipated budget speech in an election year, just from your vantage point as well as we wrap up.
Obviously, it has a massive impact on how one thinks about elections and who are we going to elect to continue to run our country. I think coming back to the skills I've just addressed, that we need to think very critically about where are the pockets in South Africa that are really working, and what can we learn from these pockets, who are leading these pockets, and how can we ensure that actually the advantages that some provinces have over others are really translated into the whole of South Africa, so that we don't have to say, oh, we're from South Africa, but we're from this province or we're from that province, where we have these issues or that or those issues. The one thing that I think South Africans will always have in their favor is our spirit of Ubuntu and of standing together with a sense of resilience and a sense of adaptability. And I think that we do need to apply some very, very critical thinking to how we vote in the up and coming elections, because the way things are going currently, unless we're able to really leverage collaboration between government, private and civil society, we are going to find ourselves just going around and around and around on this hamster wheel of things not really improving for anyone.